Hey everybody, it's Austin from Nintendo Everything here, and I'm here with Brian.
Hello.
As usual, I'm hosting this time because Brian's extremely exhausted from his week covering all of E3, and I'm not as exhausted, so we're going to talk all about what happened this week and all the E3 stuff, and I think we'll be able to get to pretty much every game that they announced, with maybe a few exceptions. I think stuff like Fantasy Life and Phoenix Wright vs. Ace Attorney will be absent from the discussion, but maybe we'll do another video sometime and cover some of the smaller stuff. To start off, I figured we would go in the same order they did with the press conference, at least at the beginning, or not the press conference, the digital event, and we'd go over some of what they announced as far as Smash Brothers was concerned. And the first thing they announced was that Mies would be there, and towards the end we learned that Palutena was going to be playable. But I think the two biggest things that sort of came out of it is we learned what the custom movesets were going to be, and we also learned that they were going to integrate the Amiibo thing, which is Nintendo's new figurine platform. So I wanted to ask about custom movesets first, because that was the first big, I think, substantial piece of information we got. What do you think about having, I think it's like 12 special moves you can pick 3 of for each character, and you can sort of mix and match as you please. What do you feel about that versus having it be totally static for every character?
Well, I mean, that's interesting. It's a pretty big change for the Smash Brothers series as a whole, right?
Yeah, and it's they hinted at it before, but we didn't know exactly what it was going to mean until now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care that they're doing it this way?
I don't really know. I mean, I think what I'm going to end up doing is just sticking with what they have in the game
as the default.
Yeah, I've never been a person who like plays around with customization too much, but I think it's nice that they're including it.
I think if we can trust them to balance it, which I think we can, it's going to be fine. I don't think it's going to matter. And I believe like the For Glory online mode and the tournaments will probably have the default sets be what you have to use. But I don't think it's going to make a huge difference as far as playing it the way that I think most of us will be playing it. So as long as it's sort of well balanced, as long as there's not like one move that's clearly way better than everything else in the game, I don't think it's going to matter. So.
Yep.
How about this Amiibo integration? So they've announced, I don't remember how many figures they announced, but they announced something like, 10 figurines of Smash Brothers characters that you can buy. And the way that they work is if you set them on the Wii U gamepad while you're playing, you can sort of call upon this CPU helper friend that will come in and sort of assist you, and you can level up this helper friend. You can battle against them, or you can use them to help you fight against opponents. How do you feel about that?
That's another kind of interesting thing. Didn't they kind of say that they're going to, I think it was in one of the interviews, that they're going to have fighter figures for everyone in the game? Or
that's the presumption, yeah. They only showed like 10 or 12 or something, but yeah, we assume, and I think they said, yeah, there's going to be one for everyone.
And they haven't really talked about pricing yet, so that's going to be another key factor, although I think Reggie did say they're going to be priced similarly to the Skylanders ones.
Yep, which means like $10 to $15, I think that article said. So I'd pay, if they priced them at $5 magically, which they won't, but if they did, that would be the thing that I'd be like, all right, I'll buy every single one. Yeah. If they put them at 10, I'll buy I'm going to buy the Wii Fit Trainer because it's like a funny little figure just to have sitting on your desk or whatever. But I don't know that having a CPU Pokemon friend, not, but like Pokemon where you level them up, is really that appealing to me. I don't know why that would be fun necessarily. You know what I mean? Well, and they said that the cool, or the quote unquote the cool thing about them is that the CPU AI could be stronger than the AI in the game normally.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Like, it's sort of a strange strategy to artificially hold back the power of your AI in the game in order to make these other figures more powerful. But it's,
I believe they said that you can bring these characters up to level 50.
Which is a completely arbitrary number, of course. Yeah. Like, who knows what that even means? But if it actually is somehow 5 times stronger than a level 9 character, that's insane. But then it's a bummer because it's like, I want to be able to play against those without, having to pay extra money. So, maybe that'll be the thing that'll get me on, is to have like really strong opponents to kind of face off against. But in terms of using them as allies, do you see that as something you're gonna do?
Probably not, to be honest.
I don't see it. It's cheap. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it would be fun competition with your friends. But then the other thing is, you could imagine like kids hanging out with their friends in 4th or 5th grade, being like, "Oh, you're beating me. I'm gonna." It's like when they use the special, what is it, the white Donkey Kong or the golden Donkey Kong that can come in and help you, or the helper boxes in New Super Mario Brothers. I don't think kids have as much issue using those types of kind of game-breaking things, but it's all in good fun, so maybe that's the goal with this. But the idea of being able to fight a really strong CPU is more appealing to me than using a really strong CPU against my friends, because then it's like, well, I didn't really win then. Like a computer won or whatever, but man, I don't know, maybe there's something more to it that we're not really hearing about, aside from being able to like face your amiibos against your friends' amiibos. But none of this is super appealing to me, except that the figures look really cool.
Yeah.
They look good.
Yeah, it's gonna be just neat to make your own Nintendo collection in a way.
Yeah, and if they're only $10, I could totally see myself buying a few of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you.
As long as they're well enough made. Like, they probably won't be as well made as the ones we saw at E3. I'm sure those are like slightly up, pampered prototypes, if you will. But if they're even close to that, I'd put a little Wii Fit trainer and like a little Link up on my desk or whatever. That sounds like it'd be fun. So I don't have an issue with it, because it sounds like it's totally extraneous to the game, but how appealing it is to me, I think right now is fairly minimal. And it sounds like for you it's the same way.
Yep.
All right. Any brief thoughts on like them introducing Mii characters and Palutena? Does that, tickle your fancy? Do you care at all?
I do like Palutena in there.
I liked
really
the
cool
intro
character.
animation.
Yeah.
It made me want a Smash Brothers TV show.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that. I would totally watch that also.
Oh, it was so cool. And I think part of it is that Pit already kind of has that cartoon personality to him. Like, they gave him a voice in Uprising and stuff, so he sort of had that going, and they have a decent voice actor for him. But yeah, that was cool. I mean, the character announcements, I really like Palutena as a character, but it's just more characters. Great. It doesn't.
And what do you think about PacMan in there? Because they announced that.
Oh, yeah. This is one people really like, and I don't know. I think PacMan's kind of stupid now. I don't like new PacMan. I don't think he's cool, but I can see, like, when you see that screenshot of Mega Man, PacMan, Sonic, and Mario, it does kind of make you go, oh, this is kind of nice. Like, you see all four. It does give you kind of a special feeling.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But as a character, I've never much cared for PacMan. He's just, whatever, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't make me excited. I'm much more on the Mega Man boat myself.
Yep.
So, and didn't they also announce Game & Watch at that little
They kind of did, but they're not, like, saying officially. It's kind of confusing. They had him in there, but...
Oh, he's going to be there. Whatever. I'm not worried about it.
And Captain Falcon.
And Captain Falcon. I'm sure he'll be there. So... The only other thing I want to bring up about Smash Brothers is how someone asked, I think it was a guy from Nintendo World Report, asked Sakurai how the online component was functioning, and his answer was something like, well, it's really hard to do this game online, right? Like with racing games, you can use these kinds of tricks where you send packets of data through multiple people to like make sure everyone's kind at the same time, but it's not too important, because at the end of the race, you can sort of just tally everything up and it doesn't have to be exact. Whereas with something like Smash Brothers, you need to be tracking 4 characters all at once, and all of them need to be communicating with every other one instantaneously. There can't be that sort of trickery. So he said, well, you should buy one of the wired LAN adapters. That's just their recommendation for this, which is a little bit concerning because Brawls Online obviously didn't work. And I think what we learned from the GameSpy, IGN podcast is that there was stuff that could have been done to make that game work better, right? Like there's room for improvement.
Yep.
But are you worried about whether they can get this new Smash Brothers completely up to par as far as being an online game? Or do you think they've got it under control?
I'm definitely a little bit worried, but first of all, we do know it's going to be better than Brawl, right? There's no way.
Exactly, yeah.
There's no way it's going to be as bad as Brawl. And I mean, they did kind of prove with Mario Kart 8 that they can put out a competent online experience, even though this is a fighting game we're talking about, so...
Yeah, it's a way different to make Brawl or a 4-player fighting game like Smash Brothers work online than it is notwithstanding even a 2-player fighting game like Street Fighter, those games aren't even considered to be totally up to snuff online. And that's only 2 people, right? Like, you can play them, they work, but no one would consider that tournament passable, right? So if you want to do 4 players, plus items, plus really complicated stages, they're going to have to come up with some programming tricks, I think, to make that work up to the standards people want. I think they can do it, but I'm definitely concerned when Sakurai's answer is, well, just buy the wired adapter and just hang tight. So
I also heard that maybe it wasn't completely understood between going back from English to Japanese and vice versa. So
that's also possible. Yeah, it totally could be partially a translation thing. Like maybe he said something that was a little bit more of a confirmation that it should be fine, but we'll see. It's I'm not too concerned, but I'm a little bit wary. And of course, Smash Brothers is a local game first and foremost, so not but it would be nice if I could play against people that weren't in in my house or whatever. So I think we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. Does the 3DS one have online? I think it does, right?
Yeah. Yep,
so maybe that'll be a good test just to see, because that's now October is when that's coming out, which is...
Yeah, that was really disappointing.
Not exactly summer, but, I think they consider most of September to be summer, so maybe I guess they're kind of just a couple weeks off in their head, but I was hoping for like a July or an August.
Yeah, same
personally,
here.
But yeah, well,
and
what
also,
are you going to do?
We should quickly mention how awesome was that opening to the Nintendo Direct?
Oh, yeah.
With Reggie and Iwata fighting?
That was so... I was either laughing or I just had the biggest smile on my face the whole time. I thought it was so funny.
When I saw that, I was just saying, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, it was great.
They actually put that in there.
Their faces were totally serious. Like neither of them even started to crack a smile, but they're fighting like Matrix style back and forth, and then it leads into the Mii character announcement. But yeah, I thought it was hilarious. The setup of the digital event, they got the Robot Chicken guys to do little interspersed segments in the beginning and the end. They kind of poked fun at themselves, which they really don't ever do, with the whole Mario, Mario's not going to be here actually. Oh, what about Star Fox? What about Mother 3, etc. And normally they're really hesitant to point out their own flaws like that. Like, oh, we don't talk about Mother 3. Oh, it's been a while since Star Fox. So I appreciated that. I appreciated the candid nature, I think, with which they did this digital event. So
yeah, I feel like
format-wise, I liked it.
Yeah, I think the whole thing on the whole was just really well produced, and it was probably one of their better things in terms of like E3 conferences and Nintendo Directs. It was right up there as one of the best.
I would completely agree with that. I mean, they put a lot more money into it than they do in Nintendo Direct, it seemed.
Yeah.
They really put some time and effort into producing the segments, the documentary-like segments, and the Robot Chicken stuff, and then the humorous bits at the beginning. And then the Smash Brothers cartoon, it was a lot. They put a lot of work into it, so that's good.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next thing. Now everything's out of order. I'm just putting them in the order I felt like talking about them in. Yoshi's Woolly World I wanted to bring up next because it's back. Yarn Yoshi has made his return, and it looks gorgeous and looks like a ton of fun. Made by, I think it's, is it Tezuka and the Good Feel team, right, are working together on it. And I think it looks really excellent. It looks like a Yoshi game and with a really beautiful kind of yarn, sort of felt. It's not like Epic Yarn, Kirby's Epic Yarn was really two-dimensional. This is way more three-dimensional to me, right? And I like it. I think it looks great. So thoughts on
really
Yoshi's
nice
Woolly World?
looking, and it seems to be in many ways similar to Kirby's Epic Yarn, which I thought was a great game. So.
I like that it looks a little bit more like a Yoshi game, though, than a Kirby game. Kirby game, like, you literally could not die in Kirby's Epic Yarn, and I didn't think it actually mattered too much in that game, right? Because it was mostly just about feeling really pleasant, because it was, like, really a pleasant thing, and if this game can combine that pleasantry with a little bit more of a gameplay focus, I think it'll be a really, really strong game. Now, it's 2015, of course. We're not seeing it till next year. But it looks really good so far. I don't have any problems with it, and pretty much it's going to be one of those games that it'll come out and I'll pick it up and I'll like it. I wouldn't say it's not Smash Brothers. I'm not incredibly pumped for it, but I don't think that matters. I think it looks really strong. So
yeah, I feel pretty much the same way, and I'm pretty excited to see that they actually featured it again in this presentation.
It's back. It's not going to go the route of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, where it's on release schedules for 8 years before it comes out. It's actually like being made, and it's going to be done next year. So that's exciting. I think that's, and of course the other game that was announced in a similar fashion, Shin Megami Tensei X Fire Emblem, nowhere to be seen. But
yeah, you're going to say it.
Well, we got the new intelligence systems thing, which we'll bring up in a minute. But that particular game doesn't exist as far as we're concerned. It's on the release schedule, but that's it. So,
although they did say in that Q&A for the intelligent systems game that it is on track.
Yeah, but on track for them might mean it's coming out in 2050. I don't know. You know what I mean? You never know with Nintendo, and if they haven't given you a firm release date, there is no release date as far as Nintendo games are generally concerned. And we learned that lesson with stuff like Pikmin 3, which was supposed to be in launch window, even Wii Fit U, which didn't come out until early this year. Until you get a firm release date with most Nintendo games, I feel like you just gotta wait, and they'll give it to you when it's ready to be given to you. They'll wait until it's good, and they'll bring it out. And who knows how long it's going to be till that game's good?
Yeah, but at least we
don't even know what that game is.
At least we did get kind of a confirmation, though, that it's still in the works.
It still exists. It's not on hiatus, it's not like Star Fox was last year, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, I don't know, maybe Star Fox will come eventually someday. It's in the works. It will happen eventually, hopefully within the next 5-ish years. All right, next game, also a very pleasant-looking game, is Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, which they announced, and it's kind of a spin, not even a spin, but just they took those Captain Toad levels from Mario 3D World and then made them really, really good. It looks like really deep, really comprehensive. There's a lot of content as far as locales are concerned and what you're going to be doing. So it looks like the Captain Toad levels from Mario 3D World kind of laid out with a lot of variety to make it kind of feel a bit like an adventure, right? There's boss fights, and there's lots of different places you're going to be exploring. I think there are like these on-rail shooter bits, aren't there?
Yeah, something like that.
Really weird where you're shooting turnips or throwing turnips at things. So do we know if this is going to be retail or digital yet?
It's retail.
It is a retail game. Okay. That, to me, it's made by EAD Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
If it's made by that team and they're calling it a retail game, to me, that's confirmation enough that they've found enough to do with this formula that it's going to feel like like an honest game, like a full-length adventure sort of thing. And I think the formula of the Captain Toad levels could totally facilitate that sort of nice adventure-y sort of feeling. So you got those two facts, that it's retail and that it's EAD Tokyo. I have no concerns that this game is going to be worth picking up. Do you have any specific thoughts on it?
No, it was just a really great announcement, and it's probably a good project for Nintendo because I just have a feeling like it may not have taken like as long a development period as some other Wii U titles.
Oh yeah, no, so definitely not.
So it's probably something that Nintendo was saying, oh hey, we can get this game out by the holiday, and that'll be a new Wii U game for people to play.
Yep, and it seems like the unfortunate bit about them releasing this is it's almost as though it took the place of the next game we're going to talk about, which is Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is now a 2015 game. Yeah. Much to your dismay, I'm assuming.
Yep, I'm sad about that.
They gave us a really cool new trailer. It has all of the anime mumbo jumbo that you would expect from a Xenoblade game. And so I wanted you to talk about it first, because I've never played Xenoblade. I intend to, but you really like Xenoblade. You're a big Xenoblade fan. So why don't you just mention what you think about how this game is looking, what the story is, and just general thoughts on it in relation to Xenoblade, which you played and I have not.
Well, those who have played Xenoblade should know what they're getting with this one, because basically what they showed was pretty much Xenoblade.
Okay.
I mean, that trailer didn't show gameplay, but on the Treehouse segments, I think they showed it off twice. And
oh, man. Gameplay everywhere.
Yeah, they showed it off twice there, and it really does look a lot like Xenoblade. Although in this one, the only thing I'm not sure about is that you can customize your main character this time around.
Yeah. So it's not a silent protagonist, though, so they're going to have it's male and female. You can do both of them, so they're going to have two. It's going to be like a Mass Effect kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Is that a bad thing to have it customizable in Xenoblade?
I don't know. I'm not really sure what to think about this yet. Shulk was a really strong character to me, so I'm just wondering what's going to happen now that this main character that you customize and you play as isn't really someone like that.
Well, it might just be like the Commander Shepard, and I've never really played Mass Effect, but it might be like the Commander Shepard thing, where Commander Shepard's still a strong character, and he's just the exact same character no matter how he looks. But they also have like a this is how he looks look to him, even though you can customize it. It might be something like that, but yeah, there is concern that maybe that the character won't have as strong of a characterization, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still open to the idea for sure. I guess I want to see more.
And the other thing you do have to remember is just it's Monolith Soft and it's Nintendo and it's Xenoblade. It's going to be good.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't have to worry about it.
The gameplay will definitely be good. I mean, they show, huge creatures again.
Huge creatures.
You have the huge world. You're going to get the mechs, which look pretty neat, even though they didn't show them in terms of gameplay. Not in the gameplay demo. Yeah.
The thing that made me realize during that trailer that it was probably 2015 is it's all still in Japanese.
Yep.
None of it's been translated, so it's as Nintendo always does. They'll hold it back until it's ready, and when it comes out, it'll be amazing. So at least we know that. At least we know it's not going to be rushed. So I think it looks really good. It looks like it's going to turn out very well. It makes me want to play Xenoblade.
Go do that.
I really want to. I'm going back and forth between doing that and going back to Wind Waker HD, but maybe I'll do Xenoblade because it's new for me. So yeah, they showed off a lot of Xenoblade. Unfortunately, it's 2015. Anything else we wanted to mention about it?
Don't think so.
I think that's all squared away as far as Xenoblade is concerned. All right, let's do one more thing before we go to break. Let's bring up this Mario Maker thing. It's real.
Yes.
It's true. The rumors were real. And it sounds like a much more substantial game than I think people thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So you look at the level editor. It's a Mario level editor. We thought from sort of the rumors that were going around and the initial trailer we got that it was going to be you could make original Super Mario Brothers styled levels very easily and very creatively and then presumably share them with your friends. But as it turns out, it's not just the original Super Mario Brothers. You can also swap to graphical styles from New Super Mario Brothers, and he confirmed that there was going to be even more art styles that they're going to pick from, presumably,
Mario Brothers 3.
Mario 3, Mario World, and he even said stuff that isn't Mario he'd want to put in there as far as art styles.
Yep.
And then on top of that, he says, well, they're taking inspiration from Mario Paint and maybe adding some other sorts of modes that aren't just making levels, which is really exciting as well. So what we're getting is actually something that sounds like a really, really polished, comprehensive level editor that isn't just like a $10 download title. It sounds like they're putting a ton of work into making sure that you have a lot of tools at your disposal, but that it's totally easy to use and that there's other stuff you can do just for the fun of it. So thoughts on Mario Maker from you?
Well, I have to admit that I thought this was fake when we first heard about it, and I didn't even bother putting it on the site because, there was just that kind of weird-looking photo that popped up online.
Yeah, and the thing is, there are a million things every year that look as real as this looked that turned out to be fake. So it's up in the air as far as whether those kinds of rumors are true or not. It could have gone either way. Just like there was a Mario Kart DLC rumor that looked just as real as this looked, and that one didn't turn out to be real. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but I mean, isn't this kind of a surprising announcement in a way? Because I don't think anyone would have really expected Nintendo to allow us this kind of control in terms of making stuff with their own property and characters.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at it, we kind of think of level editors as sort of these clunky, you have to learn the tools to use them, and it's not really fun to do it, but it's fun once you make the level, right? That's kind of how Little Big Planet is, or even when you get into modding PC games. But this looks like the making of a level is sort of a game in and of itself because of the way that they've done it. You can swap back and forth between the edit screen and the play screen instantly, and it's almost like you can play levels and then use the editor to change the level as you play, which is a little bit Little Big Planet-esque, right? And except with all the simplicity and the tightness of Mario. So I think that looks really appealing. It doesn't look like you had a WarioWare DIY, right? They made that, which was a relative. It wasn't too clunky, but it was a relatively clunky level maker for WarioWare that then you could have fun with because you could play the levels that people made. This looks like making the levels is going to be as fun as playing the levels, right?
Yeah.
And that's new. To me, that's really cool. So I'm totally looking forward to this. It took me by surprise. Excuse me, I'm drinking pop. It took me by surprise that they announced it, but it secondly took me by surprise that it looks as good as it does, that it doesn't look like a cheap, release of some development tools that they had in the warehouse or whatever. So
yeah, and I think as far as we know, this one is retail also.
Is it? I didn't know that. Interesting.
It popped up on Amazon, so right now I assume it's retail.
This and Captain Toad. To me, it doesn't bother. I think people like me and you aren't bothered by this because we can assume that if they're going to make it retail, they'll probably make it pretty substantial. But in terms of image, I think people would look at these two things and kind of be like, oh, it's just stupid little, this should be a download game. So I don't know. I wonder how smart that is. Well, maybe they could do like a Game & Wario thing and have it be like $40 just to kind of alleviate that sense.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be $60.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, $40 would make sense from a marketing perspective. I think both of them would probably be worth $60 as far as I'm concerned. But, yeah, interesting. Both of them are retail. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it either way. It is, much like almost everything we're going to be discussing, a 2015 title as well.
Yeah.
So I think the only 2014 title they announced was Captain Toad, I want to say. The new 2014. Oh, wait, is Mario Party 10 2014?
I don't think they've said yet.
Oh, well, that's weird. I hope maybe that'll be 2014. Maybe that's another little slot they can add. So, all right. Anything else to say on Mario Maker?
Not really. I mean, you kind of hit on all the big points, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you in thinking that making the levels will probably be just as much fun as playing them. And I've kind of been someone who's not big on customization and making things, but this looks pretty neat.
Completely agree. I've never been much to get into those sorts of customization things, and this looks like they knew that, and they're making that for people like us. So.
Oh, and also, I think Tezuka said in an interview that he wants to put in something where you can make music as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the thing that makes me think, oh, it's not, retail, obviously it should be a retail game, because it sounds like they're going to go for something that's not just this one thing. It's like a whole package. It's like the new Mario Paint is what it sounds like they're kind of going for. Only better. I mean, presumably better because a Mario level editor is in it.
Yep.
So, all right, we'll take a break there. We'll go to a second video just to keep these two things separate, and we'll be talking about next time the greatest game of all time, Splatoon. We'll bring up Star Fox, the new Star Fox things, Miyamoto's 2 projects, the Legend of Zelda Wii U game, and then some quick hits on things like Bayonetta, Pokemon, Kirby, Hyrule Warriors, and Mario Party. So if you want to hear that, switch to the second part now.